AR Talk stood before the gleaming council chambers, the polished surfaces reflecting the diverse assembly of alien delegates gathered within the sprawling United Species Federation headquarters. The grand chamber buzzed with whispered strategizing and sporadic bursts of debate, a common prelude to the high-stakes discussions that would soon unfold. Today's agenda was Earth, a topic that churned AR Talk's stomach with a mix of dread and caution. AR Talk, a war-hardened Varnokian, had fought alongside many who now sat as decision-makers. His scars were tokens of battles past, each a reminder of the complex interplay of strategy and sacrifice. As a mentor at the War Academy, he was revered not just for his victories but for his insights into the psyche of their potential foes, especially humans. The session commenced with Chair being Zilmira, a slender, towering figure whose elongated limbs bespoke her Arthurian heritage. Esteemed members of the council, we gather to deliberate the human question. Intelligence reports suggest rapid technological advancements and a possible expansionist agenda. Our course must be decided. AR Talk listened as military advisors presented exaggerated assessments of human capabilities. Each report was more alarming than the last, painting Earth's inhabitants as a looming threat. He could feel the room's anxiety thicken. Fear was a potent catalyst for rash decisions. Finally, AR Talk was given the floor. His voice, deep and resonant, filled the chamber. Esteemed colleagues, I have faced humans in battle. They are resourceful and resilient, yes. But they fight not for conquest but survival. Do we wage war based on what might be, or do we engage with what is? His question hung in the air, unanswered, as murmurs echoed through the chamber. AR Talk continued, I've watched humans turn what little they have into fortresses and weapons. Not out of desire for dominion, but out of necessity. If provoked, they will defend themselves fiercely. But the seeds of fear had been sown too deeply. General Threx, a bulky Scorvian with a reputation for aggressive tactics, stood to counter. AR Talk speaks of caution, but what of precaution? Are we to wait until human fleets darken our skies? We propose a preemptive strike. Neutralize the threat before it grows. The council was swayed by the argument for safety through strength. Plans for an offensive began to crystallize, much to AR Talk's dismay. He knew too well the spirit of the humans. They would not crumble under assault. They would rise, fight, and perhaps bring the galaxy to the brink of a war no one could afford. As the chamber adjourned, AR Talk's former comrade, Mirail, approached him. Her scales glinted blue and green under the chamber lights. AR Talk, you have always been the voice of experience and reason. Yet, the council fears what it does not understand. Is there truly no other way? AR Talk looked at his old friend, his eyes weary with the weight of foresight. I fear we are stepping down a path that leads only to sorrow. I must try to reach them, one last time. The following weeks were a blur of preparations. AR Talk used every break in his routine to speak with delegates individually, sharing tales of human ingenuity and valor, not to glorify them, but to illustrate the complexities of the human spirit. He spoke of a battle where he had seen young human soldiers rescue civilians at great risk to themselves, of engineers who built life-saving tech from wreckage. His stories spread seeds of doubt, but the war machine marched on. Meanwhile, on Earth, Major Sarah Kingston was monitoring the increasing alien surveillance. Reports of USF ship movements had reached her, and the air was thick with the static of oncoming storm. Sarah had climbed the ranks with a mix of cunning and courage, earning the respect of her peers and the fear of her enemies. Her network of spies had confirmed her worst fears: the USF was coming. In her office, maps and screens painted a grim picture. Sarah spoke to her assembled team, her voice steady. We've got reports of USF fleets amassing near the Ganymede Gate. They're coming, and they're coming soon. Our best chance is to turn their ignorance of our capabilities to our advantage. Her second-in-command, a seasoned veteran named Commander Holt, nodded. We've been underestimated before. Let's make sure it's their last mistake. Back on Galdoria, the eve of the operation, AR Talk stood alone in the War Academy's vast library. The holoscreens flickered with tactical simulations and star maps. Despite his efforts, the attack would proceed. In his heart, he knew what this could lead to, a war that might fracture the galaxy. As Artok walked the quiet halls, he contemplated a radical decision. Could he, in good conscience, stand by while two civilizations hurtled towards mutual destruction? His mind echoed with memories of human bravery, their unyielding spirit, and their unexpected acts of kindness even in war. By morning, Artok had made his choice. He would not betray his principles, even if it meant standing against his own people. He recorded a message, one that detailed strategic weaknesses of the USF, a message meant for Earth. If the Council would not heed his words, perhaps they would learn through the harsh lessons of war. As the fleets prepared to jump to hyperspace, Artok uploaded the message to a secure channel known only to a few trusted humans from past negotiations. If there was to be war, he would do his part to balance the scales, to give humanity a fighting chance. The die was cast, not in the shadows of subterfuge, but in the light of a warrior's honor. Artok watched the stars from his office, knowing the next time he saw them, the galaxy would be changed forever. But in the depths of his being, he held on to a fragile hope that through conflict, perhaps a lasting peace would finally be forged. Artok's solitary vigil in the War Academy's library stretched into hours, his thoughts roiling as he contemplated the impending conflict. The once clear lines between duty and morality blurred, pulling at his loyalties. As he wrestled with his decision, the library's holograms flickered, casting ghostly shadows over tomes of military history. Each book, a testament to countless wars, seemed to weigh heavily on his soul. Back on Earth, Sarah Kingston fortified her strategies, her command center alive with the low buzz of urgent preparations. Screens lined the walls, displaying satellite imagery and intelligence reports. Her team worked in sync, a machine fueled by resolve and the undercurrent of fear that accompanies the unknown. "Listen up," Sarah called out, her voice cutting through the hum of activity. "We're not just defending our planet, we're setting the stage for how humanity is perceived out there. They think they've got us figured out? Let's surprise them." Her officers nodded, their faces set with determination. They scattered to their respective duties, coordinating Earth's defenses and rallying troops. Sarah remained at the central console, her eyes scanning the incoming data. Each report sharpened the edge of urgency that defined her command. Meanwhile, at the USF headquarters, the War Council reconvened. Generals and strategists huddled around holographic displays, plotting trajectories and assault patterns. Artok was among them, his presence a silent shadow. He observed their plans, noting every detail, the gravity of his next steps weighing heavily on him. General Threx led the briefing, his voice booming in the enclosed space. "Our first strike will target their communication satellites. Blind them, and then we hit their military bases hard and fast. Earth will not have time to react." Artok's gaze drifted over the maps. He knew the capabilities of Earth's forces better than anyone in the room. The planned attack points were strategic, but his understanding of human ingenuity told him that simple destruction would not quell the human spirit. As the meeting drew to a close, Artok lingered. He approached General Threx, his tone measured. "General, might I suggest a final review of our approach? The humans are adaptable. Our strategy must account for their potential to retaliate unexpectedly." Threx eyed him with a mixture of respect and irritation. "Artok, your caution is noted, but our path is set. We must demonstrate strength swiftly." Artok nodded, hiding his dissent behind a facade of acquiescence. He knew his words would not sway the general, but they were not meant to. His real audience was far from this room. Leaving the council, Artok's steps took him not to his quarters but back to the library. There, he accessed a secure communication terminal, a relic from diplomatic missions long past. He drafted a message, encrypting it with codes he had never thought to use. It was a detailed warning to Earth, outlining the USF's plans and their tactical vulnerabilities. "Sarah, if you're listening, know this. I do not take this step lightly," Artok spoke into the transmitter, his voice barely above a whisper. "The USF will strike at these coordinates. Shield your satellites, protect your bases, and prepare your countermeasures. Humanity deserves a chance to fight on equal footing. Back on Earth, Sarah received the transmission. The room stilled as she listened, the weight of the words sinking in. All right, we've got a heads up. Let's use it. Reroute power to our orbital shields, and prep the counterstrike teams. We're not just defending, we're holding the line. As the Earth's defenses pivoted, adapting to the new intelligence, Sarah's command center transformed into a nerve center of calculated chaos. Teams worked feverishly, reinforcing vulnerable points and setting traps for the incoming fleet. Hours turned into days as both sides edged closer to confrontation. In space, the USF fleet, a formidable array of warships, lined up for the jump to Earth. On the ground, Sarah oversaw the final preparations, her forces ready to engage the enemy in a battle that would determine their fate. The attack commenced with the USF attempting to execute their plan. The first wave aimed to cripple Earth's satellites, but thanks to ARTOC's warning, the assault met an unexpectedly robust defense. Orbital shields held firm, deflecting the barrage and preserving Earth's eyes in the sky. Confusion rippled through the USF fleet. General Threx, watching the thwarted attack unfold, gritted his teeth. Push forward. All units engage. Overwhelm them. But Earth was ready. As USF ships pressed their attack, hidden surface-to-air missile sites on Earth responded with precision. The sky lit up with the fire of resistance, a dazzling display of Earth's readiness to defend its sovereignty. In the midst of battle, Sarah coordinated her forces with calm precision. Hold steady, everyone. Let them come. We have the advantage now. The tide began to turn. Earth's forces, empowered by foreknowledge and the will to protect their home, mounted a fierce resistance. Each volley from the USF met a counterstrike twice as fierce, proving to the galaxy that humanity was not a foe to be underestimated. As the battle raged, ARTOC monitored the conflict from his station, his heart heavy but his resolve clear. He had chosen his side, driven by a belief in fairness and respect for an adversary's courage. In the chaos of war, he found a grim satisfaction in seeing humanity stand strong, their spirit unbroken. The day waned, and with it, the initial fervor of the USF assault waned. Reports of unexpected resistance and high casualties began to filter back to the fleet commanders. General Threx, faced with the tenacity of human defiance, called a reluctant retreat. As the USF regrouped, the reality of their miscalculations settled in. Earth had not only survived the onslaught but had also demonstrated a formidable capability to defend itself. In the quiet aftermath, as both sides counted their losses, a new respect for humanity's place in the galaxy began to take root. ARTOC, watching the retreat, knew his actions would have consequences. But as he observed Earth's valor, he felt a flicker of hope that this conflict might pave the way for a new understanding, a recognition of humanity not as a threat, but as a formidable ally in the galactic community. After the first wave of the USF attack was repelled, Earth's strategic centers hummed with a mixture of relief and relentless determination. Sarah Kingston stood before her assembled team, her face a mask of controlled urgency. We've held them off for now, but they will come back, harder and more prepared. We need to exploit this brief respite to strengthen our positions and refine our tactics. This is not just about survival now, it's about sending a clear message. Her words galvanized the room into action. As her team dispersed to carry out her orders, Sarah turned to Commander Holt, her trusted second. Set up a series of decoy operations. We need to mislead their intelligence, make them think they've got us figured out again. Meanwhile, aboard the USF flagship, confusion and frustration reigned. General Threx faced a barrage of questions from his commanders. Our intelligence was supposed to be foolproof. How did Earth anticipate our moves? The room was thick with tension, the air charged with the acrid scent of doubt. Back on Galdoria, ARTOC watched the developments with a heavy heart. His betrayal had turned the tide, but at a personal cost. He was now under scrutiny by his peers and superior officers. Nevertheless, he maintained his composure, his focus clear. If peace was to be achieved, it would require more than just military maneuvers, it would need a demonstration of human capabilities and the USF's acknowledgement of their misjudgment. In the depths of space, the USF regrouped. General Threx, unwilling to concede defeat, planned a second, more devastating assault. Prepare for a full-scale invasion. We'll not be made fools of by lesser beings, he ordered, his voice echoing through the command deck. Back on Earth, Sarah's preparations took on a new intensity. She oversaw the deployment of advanced defensive systems and the training of special counter-assault units. Every soldier must be prepared to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast the enemy. We're not just defending Earth, we're defending humanity's right to exist as equals in this galaxy, she briefed her commanders. The tension on both sides built up as the next wave of conflict loomed. Earth's forces, emboldened by their initial success, prepared to face the USF's might once more. Sarah, in a move to bolster morale and unity, broadcast a message to her troops. This fight is about more than just territory or survival. It's about our place in the cosmos. Stand strong, fight smart, and let's show them what it means to be human. As the USF fleet advanced, Artok made a decision that would change the course of the conflict. Understanding that his actions could lead to severe repercussions, he chose to continue aiding Earth by leaking more strategic data. If there is to be a future where peace is possible, they must see us not as conquerors but as equals, he muttered to himself as he sent off the last of his data to Earth. The second attack began with a massive onslaught aimed at overwhelming Earth's defenses. But, prepared for the ferocity, Earth's forces responded with cunning and precision. The decoys set up by Sarah's team led parts of the USF fleet into traps, where they were met with fierce resistance and crippling counterattacks. In the midst of the battle, a crucial moment came when a major USF battleship was captured by Earth forces. Inside, Earth soldiers found themselves face to face with alien soldiers, not much different from themselves, filled with fear and uncertainty. This encounter, broadcast across networks, humanized the conflict, showing both sides not as faceless enemies but as warriors fighting for their beliefs. Sarah seized this moment to initiate a psychological and diplomatic offensive, reaching out to the USF command with a proposal for parley. You have seen our will to fight and our ability to defend. Let us now show you our willingness to seek peace, she offered. General Threx, now facing pressure from within his own ranks and the reality of Earth's resilience, hesitantly agreed to a ceasefire. The battles paused, and the cosmos held its breath, waiting to see if this small planet's defenders could indeed broker peace with a galaxy. The ceasefire brought a temporary peace, and leaders from both sides met in neutral space. Sarah, representing Earth, and General Threx, representing the USF, along with Artok as a mediator, sat across from each other, the weight of their decisions heavier than the weapons they had laid down. This war started from fear and misunderstanding. Let it end with respect and dialogue, Sarah proposed, her voice steady and clear. Artok, supporting her plea, added, as someone who has seen the valor of both sides, I believe it is not our destiny to destroy each other but to learn and grow together. The negotiations were tense, filled with hard questions and harder compromises, but the groundwork for a lasting truce was laid. As the discussions drew to a close, a treaty was drafted, not just ending the conflict but acknowledging Earth as a sovereign member of the galactic community with much to offer. As the treaty was signed, Sarah and Artok shared a moment of quiet triumph. The war had brought unexpected devastation, but also a chance for unity in diversity. Perhaps, in the future, this will be seen not as a time of war, but as a time when we, as different species, took a difficult but vital step towards understanding each other, Sarah mused. Artok nodded, his eyes reflecting the stars that had witnessed their turmoil and triumph. And let it be a reminder that bravery and wisdom are not the sole province of any one species but the shared heritage of all who seek peace. With the treaty in effect, the fleets withdrew, and the galaxy watched as Earth emerged not just unscathed but respected, its place among the stars secured by the courage and cunning of its people, and by the unexpected alliance with one who had once been called an enemy but had proven himself a friend. As the war-weary troops from both the United Species Federation, USF, and Earth's forces regrouped, a tense yet hopeful atmosphere enveloped the recently established ceasefire zone. This temporary peace was fragile, a thin shield against the possibility of renewed conflict. Earth had not just defended itself, it had shifted the narrative of power within the galaxy. The surprising resilience and tactical brilliance displayed by humanity had forced the USF to reconsider their stance on Earth and humanity as a whole. In the aftermath of the ceasefire, General Threx, accompanied by his advisors, prepared to meet with Earth's representatives. His pride was bruised, his strategies foiled, but the reality of mutual destruction was too dire to ignore. Meanwhile, Sarah Kingston, flanked by her top commanders, including Commander Holt, reviewed the final details of their approach to the negotiations. "We have shown our strength, and now we must show our wisdom. This isn't just about ending a war, it's about defining our future relations with the USF and the galaxy," Sarah briefed her team. At the neutral meeting station, a facility orbiting a desolate moon, the delegations converged. The station, typically used for diplomatic gatherings, bore the flags of numerous galactic entities, each symbol a reminder of the galaxy's diversity and the complexity of its politics. The meeting room was set up with two half-circles facing each other, designed to foster dialogue and reduce the adversarial nature of direct confrontations. AR Talk, acting as a mediator, initiated the talks. His unique position as a former USF commander and a sympathizer of Earth's cause granted him the gravitas to navigate this delicate situation. "We are here not as conquerors or defenders, but as equals seeking a path to peaceful coexistence. Let us put aside our preconceptions and talk with the candor and openness that true peace requires," AR Talk stated, setting the tone for the discussions. General Threx, visibly uncomfortable but recognizing the necessity for dialogue, spoke next. "The conflict has brought loss and regret on both sides. It is time we consider not just the cessation of hostilities but the foundation of a relationship that prevents such conflicts in the future." His acknowledgement of loss and regret was a significant step for someone who had advocated for preemptive strikes just weeks before. Sarah took the floor, her presence commanding yet conciliatory. "Our planet, our people, have faced annihilation, yet we stood strong not to conquer but to protect our right to exist. Let this negotiation be the ground where we build not just peace but a partnership that values each of our civilization's contributions to the galaxy." The discussions that followed focused on several critical areas: the establishment of a mutual defense pact, the exchange of technology and cultural knowledge, and the creation of a galactic council seat for Earth. Each point was debated intensely, with AR Talk often stepping in to bridge gaps between differing perspectives. One pivotal moment came when a young Earth delegate, a recent addition to Sarah's team, proposed an annual galactic cultural exchange program. "Let us know each other not through the sights of our weapons but through the stories of our people. We invite the youth of the galaxy to Earth, and in return, our youth will visit your worlds. Understanding and respect can be built through shared experiences and education." This proposal struck a chord with many delegates, particularly those from smaller or less militant species who had watched the conflict with growing concern. They saw in this proposal a chance to redefine interstellar relations on a basis not of power but of mutual interest and cultural appreciation. As the negotiations drew to a close, a draft treaty was formed. It included provisions for immediate military de-escalation, a framework for the ongoing cultural exchange program, and the establishment of joint scientific ventures. Importantly, it recognized Earth's sovereignty and its role as a full member of the galactic community. Before the treaty signing, General Threx and Sarah met privately, under the watchful eyes of AR Talk. "General, I believe today we start a new chapter, one where our children will learn of this war not as the beginning of endless conflict but as the difficult birth of a lasting peace," Sarah said, extending her hand. General Threx, hardened by years of conflict but changed by the courage of those he had once underestimated, shook her hand. "Commander Kingston, let it be so. May our futures be defined by the peace we forged today." The treaty was signed amid flashes of cameras and the palpable relief of all present. It was not just a ceasefire but a beacon of hope, a testament to the possibility that even the deepest of enmities could be overcome through courage, respect, and the willingness to see an adversary as a potential ally. As the delegations prepared to depart, AR Talk looked out at the stars from the station's observation deck. The galaxy seemed unchanged, the stars still shining indifferently to the affairs of its inhabitants. But for AR Talk, and perhaps for many others, those stars now shone over a galaxy where humanity was recognized not for its potential for war but for its capacity for peace. The challenges ahead were many, but for the first time in a long time, hope was as palpable as the cold metal of the station around him. In the aftermath of the treaty signing, a cautious yet palpable optimism spread among the ranks of both Earth's forces and the USF. The newly established peace brought a flurry of activity as both sides began the process of withdrawal and de-escalation. Sarah Kingston and her team worked tirelessly, coordinating with USF officials to oversee the dismantling of frontline positions and the return of troops to their respective homes. Meanwhile, cultural exchange programs kicked off, starting with delegations from various galactic species arriving on Earth to learn about human society, its diverse cultures, and technological innovations. Earth, in turn, sent its own delegations to several USF worlds, promoting a deep-seated understanding that reached beyond the formalities of diplomatic exchanges. Amidst this newfound engagement, General Threx visited Earth, a gesture of goodwill and a symbol of the new era of cooperation. Sarah hosted him, showing him landmarks of human resilience and creativity, reconstructed cities, thriving marketplaces, and centers of art and science. Threx, whose perspective had been shaped by military objectives, found himself deeply moved by the vibrancy and spirit of the people he had once considered only in terms of tactical value. Commander Kingston, seeing this, "I realize how much there was to lose, and how close we came to never knowing it," Threx admitted as they walked through a bustling city square. Sarah nodded, her gaze taking in the scene. "It's a reminder for us too, General. Peace isn't just about avoiding war, it's about making these moments possible." As part of the peace agreement, AR Talk, who had played a pivotal role in the negotiations, was invited to speak at several forums and institutions across the galaxy. His talks, which focused on the importance of empathy and understanding in leadership, drew crowds from many species eager to hear from the war hero who had dared to bridge the chasm between rival factions. One of his speeches, delivered at a major university on Galdoria, highlighted the turning points of the conflict and the crucial role of unconventional choices in achieving peace. "We often think of bravery as a quality required only on the battlefield, but true courage is also about the decisions we make off it," AR Talk told his audience. "The bravest act I ever committed was not during a fight but when I chose to trust our former enemies and reach out in peace." Back on Earth, Sarah and her team monitored the ongoing integration efforts, ensuring that the treaties were adhered to and that any disputes were settled amicably. The establishment of a joint exploration initiative was one of the most ambitious outcomes of the treaty, aimed at exploring uncharted territories of space with combined scientific teams from Earth and the USF. As Sarah reviewed reports from the initial exploratory missions, she was struck by the enthusiastic cooperation between the teams. The scientists, drawn from different worlds and backgrounds, worked together seamlessly, driven by a shared curiosity and the thrill of discovery. This endeavor, once unimaginable, was now a testament to the potential of unified goals. During a commemorative event marking 1 year since the treaty's signing, leaders from Earth and the USF gathered to celebrate the achievements of their collaboration. Speeches were made, highlighting the successes and the challenges overcome. But it was the cultural showcases, featuring art, music, and dance from across the galaxy, that truly embodied the spirit of the new alliance. In her keynote speech, Sarah reflected on the journey. "Today, we celebrate not just the absence of war, but the presence of a new understanding. We have shown that it is not our differences that define us, but our ability to overcome them." As the celebrations continued, AR Talk and Sarah had a moment to converse, looking out at the mingling crowds of humans and aliens. "Did you ever imagine this would be the outcome when you sent that first message?" Sarah asked him. AR Talk smiled, his eyes reflecting a mix of pride and nostalgia. "I hoped, but it was more than just hope. It was a belief in the potential of every being to rise above their biases and fears. We've built something remarkable here, Commander, something that will outlast us." The event ended with a declaration of ongoing commitment to peace and cooperation, signed by all attending leaders. This document, symbolic yet powerful, was framed and displayed in the new Galactic Cultural Center on Earth, a place designed to educate and inspire future generations about the importance of unity and peace. As the delegates departed, promises of further collaboration echoing in the corridors of the center, Sarah and AR Talk remained behind for a moment, looking at the vibrant display of unity around them. "We've come a long way," Sarah remarked. "Yes, and the road continues. Every day, we build more than just bridges between worlds, we build a legacy of peace," AR Talk replied, his voice tinged with hope. With the galaxy watching, Earth had not only secured its place among the stars but had also sparked a beacon of hope for a future where understanding and cooperation were the cornerstones of interstellar relations. The challenges ahead were many, but for now, the peace held, a precious achievement in the vast, often unpredictable cosmos.